What is blockchain? Blockchain is the technology that underpins cryptocurrencies. In this video, we're going to talk about how it has the power to revolutionize industries and how this technology actually works. Keep in mind that there are both private and public blockchains. For the sake of cryptocurrencies, here we will be talking about public blockchains. In our current society, we rely on trust in centralized intermediaries, that they are doing the right thing with our data or money. When you send money to your mother, you rely on and trust that your bank is keeping records correctly and not being fraudulent. Often, due to this issue of trust, the current system needs some clunky safeguards, checks, balances, and legal frameworks, which all slow transfers down and also make it more costly. And with all this, still does not guarantee that there are no malactors even within those systems. And if this status quo trust was to erode, the whole system would fall apart. So to create true decentralization, we need an infrastructure or system that is transparent and that can create provable and unquestionable trust. When this is achieved, it can be built on top of without having to worry about the underlying infrastructure. This brings up an age-old problem that was deemed unsolvable, called the Byzantine generals problem. In the Byzantine generals problem, you have a fortress. On either side of this fortress, separated by distance, there are generals, each with their individual armies attempting to invade it. To successfully invade the fortress, all the generals and their armies must coordinate and attack at the exact same time. If they get the timing wrong or a general fails to attack, the invasion fails. These generals must communicate, send messengers, and then reach complete consensus between each other on a time to attack. But how do they know whether the messengers sent between the generals aren't intercepted, or that one or multiple of the generals are not traitors? If one of them was to retreat, then the attack fails. This is a problem of trust and reaching complete consensus. The generals need to trust each other completely to achieve the attack. This is where blockchain comes in and solves this problem by creating trust, transparency, and agreement between all participants in a network, also known as consensus. Here we will break down what blockchain actually is, and in the next video we will cover the topic of consensus and how it is reached with blockchain. To be properly decentralized and trustworthy, blockchain needs to be secure, stable, resistant to corruption and tampering, and unable to be heavily influenced by single entities. Imagine a blockchain as a series of blocks all linked together in a chain. With each new block added to the chain gets stronger. So what do each of these blocks contain? Each block contains data. For example, it could contain a record or ledger of transactions happening on the network. With Bitcoin, the blocks include transaction date and timestamp, the amount sent from the sender to the receiver, the sender wallet address, the receiver wallet address. So with Bitcoin, think of each block as a digital ledger of transactions, and blockchain is designed in a way to make these records extremely or pretty much impossible to change or to tamper with. A block has a few unique properties. It includes something called a hash, which could be described as a unique fingerprint for the data of that particular block. If any of that data inside the block was to be changed, that hash or fingerprint would change and no longer be the same. As well as this, a block contains the hash of the previous block. This ensures that if someone was to tamper with the data of a particular block in history, they would then have to change and tamper with the hash on the subsequent block and others that follow, hence the strength of the chain of blocks. Now, with a powerful enough computer, this would still be possible, but to make this even more secure, blockchains use something called DLT, which stands for Distributed Ledger Technology. This is where a copy of the block is distributed to every participant in the network. Participants are thousands of users around the world who agree to join the network and set up something called a node. Keep in mind you can own and use Bitcoin without becoming a participant in the network or setting up a node. They each receive a copy of the blockchain and are responsible for validating and verifying transactions and reaching a consensus between one another that the transactions are legitimate. To then be able to tamper with transactions, someone would have to change all the transactions or hashes on all the nodes at the same time or somehow control the majority of the nodes in the network. This makes blockchain exceptionally secure and minimizes the need for trust, acting as platforms to facilitate transactions between anonymous global users who don't necessarily trust one another. To recap, Blockchain technology solves the issue of the need to rely upon and to trust in centralized bodies. Inside of blocks is stored a transparent digital ledger of network transactions or data which cannot be altered or tampered with.